You might be wondering, how do you accidentally buy a Mary Kay Cadillac? Well, I will admit, I fully intended to go buy myself a Cadillac. I just had no idea it was this Cadillac. Up front, I can see just some regular scratches and hits like that, but nothing smashed in. The emblem's still here, and I didn't realize, but on these DeVilles it's like a flexible thing in there holding it in, so you don't just snap it off. So that's kind of neat. Did not know that. These look like glass housings, but they feel plastic, but they're completely clear still. That's wild to me. I was never really a big fan of the front end of these cars. I just really love the back of them. I purchased it with no wheels. Like I said, these wheels I stole from that car over there, and I didn't have any wheels to fit it, so I just kind of shoved those truck wheels under it for now. That car has its own story that might go through another time. Here on the sides you can see the Mary Kay Special Edition badging. It says DeVille right there. And I really don't know how to make this show on the camera. It seems to show up more I don't know. I don't know how to make it show up more. Maybe if I darken? Lighten? No, that makes sense. It's really hard. I think this is, if you look at the Mary Kay cars and the earlier 90s and then kind of the later models, they're a pretty bold pink, but I think this is the timeline in which they were using this just pearl, where you can only really see the pink in the right light setting. I read that Mary Kay has actually done quite a few different colors, and I never knew I'd own a pyramid scheme car, but it's interesting to see. So on this side, same badge, and it has a pinstripe going along, which is interesting. And if you take it and follow it all the way to the end, it says it, Mary Kay, on the end. Now the rear damage report makes sense because you can even see on camera, this panel here, completely different color, in my opinion. There are just different materials made it fade differently. I don't know, but that doesn't match at all. On the sides, I can see that this side here, it's got some dentage in a few spots, but not bad for what it is. I like the details of the emblems on these. They still have, focus camera. They still have the ducks in there, and it has the crown. Well, later Cadillac emblem has gotten stripped down, but oddly enough, if you look in the history of the Cadillac emblem, it changes frequently. There's dozens of different Cadillac emblems throughout the year, so those change pretty frequently. So, who's calling me? I don't want to be called. Focus camera, jeez. If we move over here to the rear, one of the owners, at least, I don't know which, was into Harleys apparently. So there's Harley stickers, but there's again another Mary Kay badge back here, and of course the 32 valve North Star badge, which looks terrible in my opinion. I don't know, it just looks really cheap. And then you have the Cadillac emblem over here, which looks really nice and fancy. So that's there. And then I always thought the trunk key badge was pretty neat, how it says Cadillac Motor Car Division. Let's see if I can focus on that. And then of course the emblem and the crest inside of it. So those are a neat piece. I've actually pulled one of those off in the junkyard before. Geez, camera, you just cannot stay focused today, can you? Twin exhaust tips. I don't know if this is dual exhaust or it just splits at the muffler or what. Never really looked. So anyways, that's the exterior. Let's move on and take a look in the back. I believe there's a trunk button. Oh, but I disconnected the battery in this thing. So I guess we'll go through interior real quick and then we'll move on to under the hood and we'll see what's in the trunk that I've never opened last. Looking in, all the Mary Kay cars, from what I could read, at least Mary Kay all the Vales, they have cloth interiors, which I find really strange for a Cadillac DeVille. Especially from this era, like every Cadillac in this era has tan leather seats. Every single one of them. There's a few black ones, but for the most part, they're all tan leather seats. So let me see if I can get in here. It's a little awkward being on a trailer. We're kind of at an angle here. I remember this steering wheel. This is the same steering wheel that was in, my dad had a 99 Eldorado. It has these same switches that are like awkward and really weird to reach and get to. And I remember he complained about those. And then I kind of noticed this earlier. The instrumentation in this car is really quite strange. There is a big digital display, which, I mean, okay. I mean, it's weird because this was a 99. The digital displays were kind of popular like in the late 80s, early 90s. This one made it all the way up to 99. But you awkwardly have HVAC controls like up in here, which you have a column shifter that's like in the way, not to mention the steering wheel. Like, that's just really awkward to try to reach in there and hit those buttons with all this stuff in there. So I find that to be some really awkward, clunky placement. But the buttons do look and feel kind of nice. I like the kind of trim going around them. You have like this old school like manual pole switch thing that feels like a truck from the 70s to turn the headlights on. This little switch though is pretty nice. It feels really smooth. Looks like trunk release button and fuel door, I guess. If I remember on my dad's, is that a fuel door thing too? They're really worried about people siphoning gas out of your Cadillac, apparently. Let's see what the sun visors have to offer. Oop, they're dimmable, but there's only one. So that's kind of a disappointment. Been in other vehicles where they have the two that you can pull this one to the side, and then there's like another one that you can bring down. And also, it doesn't even have like the slidey thingy. So that's a pretty basic sun visor for a Cadillac. I do believe that these are base models, so there are like fancier DeVilles and whatnot compared to the Mary Kay cars, but for now we're just looking at them. I do really like the seat controls being up here on the door panel, but what's really awkward though is somewhere up around here, I don't know where, maybe, I don't know, there's maybe not this car. I think I've seen another car in a junkyard because this is a base model, but you'll have these seat controls up here on the door panel, but then you'll have bolster controls down here. So it's like, pick one. Preferably pick up here. Window, power windows, power mirror switch, whatever. Looks like a tweeter right there. I don't know how many speakers are in this thing. But the interior is really clean though. Like, there's no tearing or anything going on. Still has the original radio, which is strange. That never happens. Ooh, anything in the glove box? Oh yeah, there's stuff in here. Let's check it out. What is this? Cadillac. Get this awkward thing that I had to take off last night out of here. Plastic. Let's see. Creating a higher standard. Probably not with this particular base model. Tells you about the instrument panel. I think this is the owner's manual. Yep, this is the owner's manual. That's cool. That's a nice shape. Yep. What is that? There's like a secret plastic compartment back here that actually access what exactly? Nothing? What's this yellow for? I don't know. You like secretly drop stuff in there? I suppose it's probably access for maintenancing something, but interesting. Valet and traction controls. That's why would traction control be in the glove box? That just don't make no sense. Well, that's confusing, and that's a lot of paperwork, so yep, there's that. What is that for? Put a cassette in there or what? Well, let's move on to the back seat. Ashtrays. Oh, snap, there's a cigarette lighter in there. That's pretty cool. I like the chrome handles. That's pretty cool. You have access to the power locks in the back seat? Wow, ain't that interesting. Well, other than that, I mean, it looks like there's some rear vents there, but it's pretty standard. Nothing real fancy back here. You have some door lighting. You can kind of, well, at least I can see more pink right in here. Alright, well, let's see what the hood has to offer. I do find the hood latch to be pretty easy to find. It's this big, ginormous, like, paddle right there. Hood struts, those are nice. Focus camera. And here we are with a 99 North Star with blown head gaskets. That's no surprise to anybody. Looks like there's duct tape on the HVAC box. Interesting. Oh, there's something missing there. I'll just put that back. Whole engine bay is all pink. Wow, they go a lot further than I thought they did on these cars. I thought they were just painted the outside or something. So, nope, they go the whole 9 yards. So, here's the battery that I couldn't get out last night. I couldn't even get that bolt. I just kind of twisted this thing out of the way, and I pulled these up and managed to get my battery sitting upside down and connected to some extent. Well, looks complete anyway. Has a light up there. Even this is like not torn up, which is surprising. Those insulations are always torn up. Fuses. Little trap door for fuses. How do I open it? I don't understand. Oh, I see. It goes down that way. What's the rest of the fuses in this car? I'm confused. Like, that's just a bunch of little dinky guys. I don't know. I know absolutely nothing about this car, apparently. Alright, so here we are. We got the battery in the car. And I got the Cadillac key with a chip in it, apparently. Oh, auto open on this boy. Oh, we got some stuffs. Well, that isn't that interesting. Got a cane. Okay, some shoes, some wiper. Oh, brake fluid. Must still be leaking brake fluid. Got some shoes, basketball, an empty jug of coolant. That's no surprise. Looks like a graduation gown, some tissue paper. We have a spare tire. Yep, have a spare tire. No jack. That spare's been used. Is that cooling system repair? Oh boy, they tried to fix it. We got auto pull it down. I always like that on these. That old school power pull down the trunk. And she runs. Doesn't run the greatest, but that is because we have a coolant leak issue. It's got a horrible ring to it. I don't know why. It's like ear-piercingly bad. She's a runner though. Shut that down for a minute. let's talk real quick about why did I buy this car? Why did I buy a pink Cadillac from Mary Kay? Well, this is going to be for my blue Fiero project car. This has been sitting in my dad's garage since 2018. I decided that I want to do a North Star swap onto it. It's been sitting without an engine this whole time, and I decided that this is going to be the best swap for me. There's a whole, you can swap virtually anything into a Fiero. Everybody's done tons of different things. The North Star's been done a few different times, but I decided I want to do it, and for a couple different reasons. Is number one is it's not the easiest swap. The easiest swap is the 3800. Everybody knows that all day long, but the North Star isn't the most complicated swap either. Like, yes, it is difficult. Wiring can be complicated. It is a physically large engine, so it does take a little bit of fabrication to fit. I've been going through forums and forums from decades old about how the install goes, and I've put a lot of research into the different options, and I originally was going to go with an LS4, but I ended up kind of swaying myself into the North Star. And one of the things that's cool about the North Star that I think might just be not really mentioned or noted is that the North Star kind of, in my opinion, fits better with the personality of the Fiero. The North Star, I mean, most people hate them. I hate them, but here I am with one, and they're just kind of just like the Fiero, they're just kind of a misunderstood thing. And there's something that can be really good if you do the right things to them, but most people don't want to go through all that headache. I think the end result is going to be absolutely worth it. Basically, there's this guy who noticed that these cars were having these problems back in the days when they were new and people were still having them serviced and worked on at Cadillac dealerships and all that. And people were just getting screwed left and right because they were popping head gaskets left and right. And Cadillac didn't really implement a fix until way too late. It took them like over 10 years to fix the issue. This guy came out with a fix for him. He basically has you have to take the engine out, and you can see this on a couple different other channels, I think, that have done this and actually filmed what the process is. But you have to drill and bore out the head bolt stud, like where they go into the block, and you drill those holes out larger, and then you tap them with big coarse threads. So they go deeper, they go wider, and they become coarse. The problem with the stock ones is that they're fine threads and they're really small, and they're not in very far. So it doesn't take very much, especially when they're running these cars at 200 plus degrees. The pressure builds up so much that the threads come right out of the block with the studs. And so there's really nothing much you can do about that. So this one has blown head gaskets, but it's still running okay. It hasn't completely blown to smithereens yet, so I think it's going to be a savable engine. Of course, I'm going to have it out of the car anyway. That's why I'm okay with going through this process, is because I'm going to take it out and rebuild it anyway. So it's already going to be out of the car, and it's already going to be stripped down. That work is going to be there for me no matter what swap I do. So in my opinion, that's not really the biggest hurdle. End result wise, though, this is a dual overhead cam V8 engine that is aluminum and makes by default around 300 horsepower, which isn't a lot by today's standards, don't get me wrong, but this is a car that weighs like 2,500 pounds, maybe a little more. It doesn't weigh very much, so that's over 100 horsepower per 1,000 pounds, and so that's a pretty good weight to power ratio. And I'm not looking to make a completely crazy powerhouse out of this car. I just want it to be what it should have been. You know, have enough power to be fun and be able to really zip it around and get going with it and pass people easily. It did not do that with the stock Iron Duke 4-cylinder engine that made 90 horsepower that was in it. You would have a really hard time on the highway trying to get around people because it didn't move. So I think this will solve all these issues, and I think it's a really cool piece of automotive design. I think Cadillac, they engineered this entire engine line from scratch, from the engines that they had before, and they really went after a lot of things. They went for a lot of new things, and you know, there's just a fatal flaw, unfortunately, within it. Similar with the Fiero, it was under budgeted and had to be kind of morphed to fit a bunch of GM regulations and whatever those executives wanted. So they kind of had to screw it over a little bit in order to get it there. And then, of course, by the time that they came up with all the solutions for it and made it better, car project got killed. Same with the North Star. As soon as they fixed it and they started coming out with better versions, they came out with the supercharged versions and like the XLR and stuff like that. Then the North Star went away and GM decided it's going to be all same architecture across the entire line. No more exclusives for Cadillac. So this is kind of the end of Cadillac exclusives as well as this North Star line. This is the last series of engine that is strictly dedicated to them. Of course, there's a few cars that did end up getting a North Star, certain Grand Prix and Buicks and stuff like that, but not very many. I mean, overall, you know, 90% of them are in Cadillacs. So that's my reasoning for buying it. I had no idea that it was a Mary Kay car, and unfortunately, this car is going to meet its end right here. I'm going to pull that engine, use whatever wiring and stuff that I need. And this car has no title, and it essentially has no wheels because it's just borrowing some right now. I mean, it was worthless when it was running and driving, and it's even more worthless now. So, yep, that's going to be the end of this car.